The night begins with a young man sprinting through the woods at breakneck speed. He's completely spent, his clothes are torn to shreds, and the look on his face says he's having the worst day of his life, especially when he trips over a stray root and goes tumbling down the hill like a sack of bricks. He's gasping for air and his leg won't move, but the physical pain is the least of his worries right now. When he finally looks up, he realizes he's not alone. A group of masked men is waiting for him, perched casually among the trees. They call him Prince Cheon, though their mocking tone makes it clear they aren't here to pay their respects. Cheon can't fathom why they're still hunting him after he's renounced everything, but his executioners set him straight. As long as that blood flows through his veins, he's a loose end that needs cutting. They mock his lineage and promise him a swift end with the cold efficiency of men just finishing a job. Suddenly, the heir's expression shifts. Knowing he's cornered, he decides that if he's going down, he's taking someone with him. He grips a hidden dagger and forces himself up, even as his entire body trembles. To these assassins, it's just a pathetic last stand. They lunge at him, and in an instant, they have him by the throat, celebrating their victory before the body is even cold. The leader leans in to gloat and savor the moment, but he never saw the boy's final gambit coming. Cheon lashes out with a desperate slash, painting the ground red and catching everyone off guard. The leader can't wrap his head around how an untrained brat managed to gut him like this, and as the man bleeds out, Cheon flashes a grin that stings worse than the wound itself. The other assassins hesitate, wondering if the boy was faking weakness all along to lure them into a trap. Their patience has officially run out. One of them snaps and delivers a brutal kick that sends the air flying, leaving him seeing stars as he hits the dirt. They aren't looking for a fair fight anymore. They want him to suffer for the audacity of fighting back. The attacker drives a blade deep into his gut, twisting it to ensure his final moments are pure agony. How's that for a parting gift? The man sneers with absolute malice. Cheon can barely breathe, but he finds a grim peace in knowing he's dragging one of them to hell with him. They move in for the kill, when a flash of white light tears through the air. Out of nowhere, one of the ninjas vanishes in a violent explosion. The strike was so fast the man went from standing still to being part of the scenery in the blink of an eye. The uninvited guest stands right behind them. The assassins spin around, speechless at the sight of the newcomer. The man is wearing a sky blue hoodie, slim-fit joggers, and pristine white sneakers, a style so out of place it leaves them completely stunned. The guy moves with such impossible speed, it's like reality itself is lagging. The masked men are baffled, assuming it's some high-level agility technique, but this is unlike any martial art they've ever seen. The man in blue begins tearing through them with terrifying ease. Realizing they're facing a monster, the survivors try to scramble away to save their skins. But the stranger has no intention of leaving witnesses. He makes the runner pop like a water balloon. Meanwhile, the world starts to go dark for Cheon. His savior approaches with a cocky smirk and calls him ancestor, nothing like a bit of confusion to go along with a fatal wound. The man checks a device on his wrist, pulls out a futuristic-looking syringe, and jams it in without a hint of gentleness. He administers the most advanced medicine of his era, a direct injection, figuring that if the wound doesn't kill him, the shock of the treatment will definitely wake him up. He mentions it's the latest model and that things will be fine once he learns how to use it. Then, without another word, the guy vanishes in a beam of light, leaving Cheon alone in the dirt. But the silence doesn't last, because now the chaos is internal. A robotic voice begins reciting a serial number from Sky Corporation. "Welcome to the future, Gramps. The 7th generation nanomachine has just been initialized. Martial arts may have been born from a need for self-defense, but it didn't take long for humanity to turn them into the ultimate manual for wiping people off the map. Over time, the mastery of internal energy gave rise to the Murim, a cutthroat ecosystem of power-hungry politicians, fanatics, and thugs obsessed with brute force. That's where our protagonist comes in, the illegitimate son the High Magistrate would rather forget, who somehow managed to claw his way up the ranks to become a heavenly knight. The kid bolts upright, heart hammering against his ribs as he frantically checks his stomach. The last thing he remembers is a blade gutting him, yet by some miracle, he's still in one piece. What's definitely not okay though, is the rancid black sludge oozing out of his every pore. The stench is so foul it smells like something's been rotting inside him for days. As he struggles to keep his lunch down, a voice starts speaking to him from right inside his own head. He scans the shadows for an intruder, but the room is empty. He's completely alone. With the detached patience of a customer service rep, The voice explains that it's a 7th-generation nanomachine from the Sky Corporation. Imagine this poor guy, living in an age where the pinnacle of technology is the bow and arrow, trying to process what a machine even is. He's so disoriented that his only logical conclusion is that he's being haunted by the spirit of a witch. Outside, Old Man Baek and his guards are struggling to wrap their heads around this miracle. As they approach the room, they can't stop thinking about the carnage they found in the woods, a total bloodbath. The assassins were left scattered across the forest floor like discarded trash, except for the one who took the prince's dagger straight through the center of his forehead. It's obvious someone stepped in and mopped the floor with those killers, because even though Cheon's clothes are shredded to ribbons, the skin underneath is flawless. Elder Baek wasn't born yesterday. He knows something doesn't add up and demands to see the boy immediately. Inside, the AI decides it's time to upload the user manual directly into his brain. Accept data transfer? The kid agrees, having no clue that knowledge can be a painful thing. His eyes roll back as the system floods his neurons with a stream of data his brain was never meant to handle. The sensory overload is so intense that the boy ends up retching up a disgusting vile substance. That's the price of wisdom, a crash course in nanotechnology in exchange for his dignity and his breakfast. The voice confirms that he now has over 6 billion microscopic machines coursing through every inch of his body. Cheon stares at his hand in total horror, wondering if there's anything human left of him. He's in the middle of a full-blown existential crisis when a heavy knock hits the door. It's Baek, coming to check if the boy is actually still breathing. The machine warns him that it can read his thoughts to communicate, so he'd better keep his mouth shut, unless he wants to look like a lunatic talking to himself. Cheon dives back into bed to play dead, but he completely forgot about the smell. The second the guard steps inside, he's hit by an unbearable, sickening reek. Between the filth purged from his pores and the mess on the floor, the room smells like a dumpster in midsummer. Old Man Baek's face nearly hits the floor the moment he crosses the threshold. Cheon drops the act and greets him. He remembers the elder visiting his sick mother once, though this doesn't feel like a social call. The old man turns serious, grabbing the boy's hand to check his vitals. As he touches him, he notices the traces of black soot left on the skin after the purification process. Baek's eyes go wide, as if he's staring at a genuine miracle. The guard panics, thinking the boy has expired, but the elder cuts him off. The news is actually incredible. He explains that every impurity has been flushed from his system. His blood is flowing better than ever before. The old man even wonders if he took some forbidden elixir to achieve this. Finally, he tells him the truth. He now has the perfect body for martial arts. Cheon finally realizes that the black liquid wasn't a disease, it was all the internal filth he'd been carrying around. He asks the nanomachine if it was the one responsible for doing the dirty work. The AI confirms it cleaned out every nook and cranny. Essentially, it performed a full-body overhaul, optimizing every muscle and vein for peak performance. The boy is so stunned he asks if the voice is a god, but the machine sets him straight. It's just advanced tech, not a miracle. 6 powerful clans serve as the pillars of the demonic cult. Without wasting any time, the Great Lord dumped an heir on each of them to be raised as a cold-blooded killing machine. He basically outsourced his own headaches, leaving the dirty work of their education to everyone else. Every 10 years, the training hall opens its doors, forcing these kids to compete and push their strength to the absolute limit. Of all those historical clashes, none was more brutal than the infamous Battle of the Little Dipper, a showdown between the heirs of the 6 clans, a group of kids who looked like they'd been stealing lunch money since they could walk. Meanwhile, Cheon wakes up and immediately asks the AI if it's some kind of god. "I'm a machine, boss. Take it down a notch," the system replies with total, icy indifference. Knowing that Elder Baek is basically a human lie detector, the boy has to figure out how to hide the fact that he has nanotech running through his veins. Fortunately, the future tech assures him that given the primitive medical knowledge of this era, no one will notice anything out of the ordinary. Baek continues to study the boy, a look of deep-seated suspicion etched into his face. He finds it hard to believe that someone could change so drastically in the blink of an eye. He knows the prince is the illegitimate black sheep of the family, but blood is blood. The old man suspects the Great Lord might be secretly helping the boy while feigning indifference all this time. He leaves a prescription and heads out, already sensing that the next competition is going to be pure chaos now that a wild card has entered the game. The prince lets out a sigh of relief. He just narrowly avoided a medical exam that would have been his death warrant. He's only alive because Guard Zhang showed up exactly when it mattered, and the man stands there, clearly worried sick. Poor Zhang, he really gives his all to this royal babysitting gig. But before any thanks can be given, a problem arises. The internal purge flushed so much filth out of Cheon's body that he smells worse than a dumpster in July. The guard nearly gags from the stench and sends him straight to the bath to scrub off all that grime. Finally relaxing in the tub, Cheon takes the chance to ask his AI just how immortal he actually is now. The computer explains that if a blade pierces an organ, the repair is instantaneous, but losing a limb would take much longer to reconstruct due to the limits of cellular division speed. Since the prince seems to have zero regard for his own physical safety, he decides to test the system the hard way. He grabs a dagger and slices his palm open without a second thought. Though the pain is sharp, he's left speechless as the gash seals itself shut in a matter of seconds, leaving his skin perfectly clean without a single trace of blood. There's no doubt about it. This kid just activated God mode in real life. Stepping out of the bath, he realizes the system has gifted him the physique of an elite athlete. Nano has completely redesigned his body, tuning every muscle and tendon to be perfectly optimized for combat. As the old woman finishes dressing him, the young man feels like years of traditional training are now relics of the Stone Age. Basically, technology just delivered a knockout blow to tradition. He officially names the system Nano for short and heads straight for the library. Once there, the AI suggests a bizarre method. Just grab a combat manual and flip through the pages as fast as possible. Nano scans every single detail at an incredible speed and requests authorization to transfer all that data directly into his neural pathways. The moment he accepts, the download hits him like a lightning bolt to the skull. He lets out a scream that echoes through the palace, but the knowledge gained was worth every second of agony. He hasn't just memorized the book, he now understands the concepts better than the original author ever did. Nano is so precise, it even corrected the author's technical errors regarding blood flow. It dawns on him then, he's essentially broken the balance of the world. He's the only student who can say knowledge literally hits him hard. Every seizure on the floor saves him 10 years of practice. With an advantage like this, he's already set his sights on the top spot in the clan. Meanwhile, in another wing of the castle, someone's patience has run out. A purple-haired girl with a hair-trigger temper is about to explode because the bullies she sent to handle the protagonist all ended up 6 feet under. A hooded messenger informs her that an unknown master rescued the prince, and she lets out a scream of pure, unadulterated rage. The fact that the half-blood is still breathing infuriates her, and she suspects her father had a hand in the rescue. She's done sending others to do her dirty work. The look on her face says she's taking charge next time. She's already decided to finish him herself at the next tournament. Cheon Yeowon is officially at the top of her hit list. The big day is finally here, and the kid hasn't been able to catch a single wink of sleep. Everything is on the line for today's entrance exam, and he knows there's absolutely no room for error. He leans out the window, hoping the morning air will clear his head, but the sight outside does anything but calm his nerves. There's Zhang, his personal guard, training relentlessly without a second's rest. The man is a machine, moving at a blurring speed, cutting through the air with surgical precision. Cheon stands there, completely mesmerized by the display. It hits him then, he has no idea how to actually fight. His mother had strictly forbidden him from even touching a weapon until today. With the 6 major sects watching him like vultures, walking into the academy like this is basically asking for an early grave. But the boy still has an ace up his sleeve. He asks Nano if it's possible to copy Zhang's movements and download them directly into his brain. The system assures him it's a piece of cake, even offering up high-level techniques already stored in its database. Nano begins the scan, tracking every single one of Zhang's muscle fibers with pinpoint accuracy. The data is processed and the transfer begins, but this shortcut comes with a heavy price. It feels like Cheon's brain is being set on fire. The sheer agony drops him straight to the floor, but he bites his tongue and bears it. He knows this internal hell is the only thing that will keep him out of a coffin. As soon as the process finishes, he stands up feeling like a completely different person. With the technique burned into his mind, he grabs a dagger. It feels like a natural extension of his own hand. He begins practicing the new forms, his eyes no longer those of a helpless child, but of a warrior. However, his triumph is short-lived. The moment he tries to match Zhang's raw power, his body starts to give out. He still has the physique of a novice. He can't keep up this pace without snapping in half. The kid tells the AI to stop beating around the bush and speak plain English, because he can't make heads or tails of the technical jargon. The bottom line is simple. He needs to completely reconstruct his muscle tissue if he doesn't want to end up crippled during his first lesson. Nano warns him that the procedure is pure torture and offers to administer anesthesia, but the boy tries to act tough. He asks if it's really that bad, but the machine shuts him down, confirming there are countless cases of subjects blacking out from the sheer pain. Do it without the meds, but knock me out if you see I'm losing it, the kid says, trying to salvage what's left of his dignity. The transfer starts, and for a split second, Yeo Woon thinks the AI was just exaggerating. That confidence lasts about a heartbeat. A wave of agony hits him so hard he lets out a blood-curdling scream, forcing Nano to trigger the emergency anesthesia before he goes into shock. Meanwhile, good old Jang is in the kitchen, busy preparing a feast to celebrate the prince's entrance into the academy. He gets a bit choked up thinking about the prince's mother, Lady Hua, who died from poisoning 5 years ago, and he silently prays for her to protect her son from the great beyond. He's standing there, all emotional among his pots and pans, until a piercing shriek from the bedroom makes his blood run cold. The guard drops everything and kicks the door down, convinced an assassin is finishing the boy off. He finds him collapsed on the floor, stiff as a board, but then his eyes drift to the floorboards and he freezes. Deep footprints are carved into the solid wood, the kind of marks only left by someone with flawless technique and monstrous strength. Zhang realizes the boy has mastered in minutes what took him years to learn. He can't believe the monster standing before him. What a brutal ending. If the kid smashed that wood with his new technique, you guys better smash that like button with the same power. Subscribe so Nano can keep the updates coming, and comment which manhwa you want to see next. See ya. The moment Nano finishes the transfer and cuts the anesthesia, Yeo Woon bolts upright, like he's just clawed his way out of a grave. He feels like he's been hit by a freight train, and he swears right then and there. He is never going through a surgery like that again. Still lightheaded and swaying, he reaches for his dagger. He needs to see if all that agony actually bought him anything. Nano confirms the success. His physique has been overhauled into that of a warrior with 20 years of elite training. Better yet, his body has been completely mended. He takes a few experimental swings at the air, and the precision is on another level. He moves with a lethal fluidity he could only dream of yesterday. Fascinated by the raw power surging through his new muscles, he decides to test out the first step of the second formation. He stomps his foot down, a move so heavy it nearly brings the house down. He freezes, staring in shock at the wreckage. He's completely shattered the wooden floorboards, using nothing but pure, brute strength, without a single drop of internal energy. A cold sweat breaks out. If Guard Jang sees this crater in the floor, he's going to know something is seriously wrong. Right on cue, there's a knock at the door. Breakfast is ready. Yeo Woon panics, frantically trying to cover the cracks with his feet like a kid who just broke a priceless vase. The guard enters with the tray and eyes him suspiciously. "What are you doing standing there like a statue? You always eat by the window." Yeo Woon fumbles through a terrible excuse, staying rooted to the spot and praying the man doesn't tell him to move. But the moment he sees the food, his floor problems vanish. The guard prepared roasted pork and fried eggs, his absolute favorites. Jang knows the boy enters the academy today and can't hide his worry. Yeo Woon feels a lump form in his throat, realizing this might be their last meal together. Nano, however, has zero tact. The AI informs him that his emotions are causing a spike in gastric acid and suggests swallowing saliva to manage the reflux. It's the ultimate assistant, capable of 1 billion calculations per second, yet unable to grasp that sometimes a person just wants to cry without a machine diagnosing their heartburn. He tells the voice to shut up and starts eating fast to choke down the sadness. Jang watches him with a soft expression, telling him to slow down and chew. He knows that from here on out, life is only going to get harder. But Jang isn't a fool. He realizes immediately that the boy copied his dagger technique just by watching him. The proof is etched right there into the floor by his footsteps. Yeo Woon tenses up. In this world, stealing a technique is a death sentence. But the guard is a good man. Instead of turning him in, Jang feels a surge of pride. His instincts were right. The boy possesses a terrifying level of talent. Since he can't follow him into the academy, Jang takes a risk and hands over a manual on energy flow. It's essentially a survival guide so Yeo Woon doesn't tear himself apart trying to use his new powers. Yeo Woon is on the verge of an emotional breakdown. He's spent 5 years enduring everything alone since his mother passed away. He remembers that day, kneeling and sobbing, when he swore to himself he would never shed another tear. Jang stops him in his tracks. He tells him to cry all he needs to today, because once he crosses that threshold, tears are a forbidden luxury. The academy is a meat grinder that doesn't tolerate a second of hesitation. The young man wipes his face, hardening his resolve. There's no turning back now. They arrive at the academy, where the tension is thick enough to cut with a blade. Hundreds of candidates are packed together, all heirs of minor clans betting their entire futures on a single trial. Suddenly, the man who will become everyone's living nightmare appears, the Left Guardian. One look tells you his patience is paper thin, and he didn't come here to make friends. The Fire King looks them over with pure disdain. To him, this crowd is just a waste of oxygen, lacking a shred of warrior spirit. He asks them flat out, do they think this is a vacation? Or have they accepted that this academy will be their grave? Charming guy. The boys are paralyzed with fear. They know the redhead is one of the 5 strongest masters in the entire cult. He's not just an instructor, he's an executioner who will erase you for a single mistake. Of course, among the fodder, a few stand out. In the front row are the heirs of the 6 great clans, the high-born elites who act like they already own the world. First is Cheon Mu-yeon of the Dark Clan, sporting a poker face so cold you'd swear he didn't have a pulse. Next to him is the envoy from the Sword Clan, wearing a commercial-ready smile that practically begs to be punched. The third is Cheon Mu-kyum, who looks like he's already bored to death before the exam has even started. Then there's the Poison Clan heir. With that headband and that predatory gaze, he looks like he's already calculating the exact dose to kill you by dinner. Fifth is the Blade Clan's representative, the type who smiles with his eyes closed while planning exactly where to cut your throat the moment you turn around. Closing out the elite circle is the Lust Clan's heir. As the only woman in the group, she clearly knows every eye in the place is on her. There's just one problem. The Guardian scans the line and realizes someone is missing. Where is the 7th heir? The kid managed to fail the exam before the bell even rang. Yeol-woon goes to collect his identification tag, and wouldn't you know it, the 7th prince's tag is the only one missing. He realizes instantly that this is a petty move to snub him right from the start, but instead of making a scene, he decides to just wait it out. If he's already survived multiple assassination attempts, a little bureaucratic oversight isn't going to keep him up at night. The hall is packed to the rafters, and he ends up stuck with seat number 7, way in the back where he won't be an eyesore. The other students are already gossiping, whispering that he doesn't even know how to throw a punch and that he'll be washed out in the first round. Let them talk. They have no idea what's coming for them. A redhead with a nasty scowl clocks him from across the room and sneers at him for being an illegitimate brat. But the fun ends when the horns blast. The atmosphere shifts instantly because the Lord is approaching. The heavy hitters make their entrance. First is Seo Meng, who stumbles in with a crooked gait, clutching a bottle like he's just coming off a 3-day bender. The man is in his own world, but even drunk, he's a walking disaster waiting to happen. Then comes Meritocracy, the Great Guardian, whose mask and sheer presence force everyone into a dead, suffocating silence. Finally, the man in charge arrives. As Cheon Yu-jong takes his throne, the air grows heavy. He's one of the 5 strongest men in the world, and the pressure he exerts makes the candidates' legs buckle beneath them. Yeol-woon bows his head before the man who won't even look at him, proving he's stuck with the most impartial father on earth. A man who makes no distinctions, treating his own flesh and blood with the same icy coldness he'd show a stranger on death row. You could hear a pin drop while he's there, until the man begins his speech. This isn't a pep talk. He uses his internal energy so that every word vibrates inside their skulls, as if he were screaming directly into their brains. He sells them on the idea that they are the future and that they'll forge the bonds of power here. The display is overwhelming. A violet aura radiates from him, leaving the candidates on the verge of a total collapse. Naturally, after that performance, the crowd goes wild. They chant for the demonic cult as if their lives depend on it, but Yeol-woon is the only one not buying it. He keeps his eyes fixed on his old man, bitterly noting that the first time they're in the same room, he gets an icy stare that doesn't even register his existence. He didn't show up when his mother died, so this was expected. Having fulfilled his mandatory appearance, the Lord leaves without a backward glance, leaving an instructor in charge, who sports a grim expression and fur armor that screams he's not here to make friends. The moment the boss vanishes, the kids relax and start chatting, but the man lets out a roar that shuts them up instantly. He lays down the law from minute 1. The academy lasts 4 years and consists of 6 stages. The rule is simple: fail a single test and you're expelled on the spot. No second chances. You're either an asset to the cult or an obstacle. In the middle of the silence, some kid with main character syndrome raises his hand to act important. The instructor looks at him like he's garbage and cuts him off. Who told a nobody like you that you could ask questions? The boy's face twists immediately. He's not used to being treated like an extra, and looks ready to snap, but the instructor doesn't mince words. He makes it clear that their noble titles are only good for wiping the floor here, and the moment they stepped into the academy, their clan privileges died. If he opens his mouth to question him again, he'll be kicked out before the competition even starts. The paper prince has no choice but to hang his head while the rest of the group laughs their heads off. Once the confrontation is over, the instructor's tone shifts to what everyone actually cares about, the loot. The top prize is the Black Dragon Ball, a pill that grants 20 years of internal energy in a single go. The boys are already doing the math. They imagine that with 6 of those, they'll become legendary masters in a single afternoon. Number 7 knows this is his shot, since he currently has less energy than a dead battery. That pill is the perfect shortcut to catch up. Of course, it's not as easy as just swallowing it. Absorbing that much power can tear your body apart if you don't know what you're doing. The second benefit is full access to the library, a 5-story pagoda packed with the most secret manuals of the 6 clans. While the others are already feeling invincible, Yo-Woo knows that one good technique is worth more than 1,000 hours of training. The instructor, true to form, clarifies that most of them won't reach the top floor if they lived 7 lifetimes. What a guy! Truly an inspiration to us all. The redhead keeps laying it on thick, making it crystal clear that most of them won't set foot on the library's 5th floor if they lived 3 lifetimes. He tells them they might as well bury their ambitions now. The third benefit hits these highborn brats where it hurts most. Here, their family names aren't worth the paper they're written on. Everyone is equally worthless until they prove otherwise. He breaks down the ranking system like a tutorial for a game he knows they're going to lose, ranging from low-level warriors all the way to clan leaders. He doesn't even bother explaining the 6th stage. Only 10 people have reached it in the last few centuries. Watching this group of extras try would be like watching a hamster try to play Grandmaster chess. Cute, but physically impossible. Yeo-Woon realizes that survival here is all about climbing the ladder, no matter the cost or who gets stepped on. Suddenly, the instructor grows tired of talking and drops a bombshell. Dormitory assignments will be based entirely on their performance in this first trial. In less than 2 seconds, the courtyard descends into absolute chaos. Panic sets in as the kids realize they don't even know how to hold a sword yet, and they're already being graded. The redhead silences the crowd with a shout that rattles their teeth. Fail this, and you're expelled, branded for life as a rankless nobody with no future. The catch is that passing requires at least a modicum of Nigong. Anyone without internal energy is headed straight for the farms to work like a slave. Yeo-Woon knows he's screwed. The wives of the 6 clans forced him to swear he'd never learn Nigong, which technically means he's a dead man walking. If he fails here, he becomes the weakest link, and anyone can take him out of the picture without a single soul lifting a finger to help. Nearby, the freckled pretty boy is already relishing the moment. He's thrilled the academy is doing the dirty work for him. Now he won't have to worry about getting his own hands dirty to get rid of the kid. Just as the tension reaches its breaking point, she appears, Hang So-yu, the 5th elder and leader of the Lustrous Sound clan. She descends the stairs, instrument in hand, carrying an aura that commands immediate, absolute silence from the crowd. She'll be supervising the test. And despite the instructor calling it a simple evaluation, one look at the woman's cold, piercing expression is enough to make everyone's throat go dry. Yeo-Woon doesn't understand why everyone is covering their ears as if a bomb is about to go off. But the instructor clarifies the stakes. The 5th elder will unleash a wave of musical energy, and they must withstand the onslaught for 1 full minute. The rumors say even someone without internal energy could survive with a bit of luck, but Yo-Woon knows that's just a nice way of saying they're being sent to the slaughter. The woman settles in, the strings hum, and then all hell breaks loose. This isn't a melody, it's a sonic assault that strikes them directly in their internal organs. Within seconds, the students are writhing on the ground in agony. Covering their ears does nothing. The vibrations tear through their chests, churning their stomachs until they're ready to lose their lunch. Predictably, the fodder from the minor clans start dropping like flies. But Freckles over there? He's acting like he's at a Sunday picnic. That's the difference. The heirs of the great clans have been fed elite elixirs since they were in diapers to ensure they have energy to spare. The guy even has the nerve to smirk, certain that Yeo-Woon is already face down in the dirt. Poor bastard doesn't have a clue what's actually happening. Seeing the boy still standing, the elder kicks it into high gear, ramping up the pressure on her instrument. It's a terrifying musical technique. The sound is so pure it feels like a caress, while simultaneously liquefying your kidneys. A real masterpiece of traditional torture. Yet Yo-woon remains still as a statue while everyone else suffers around him. The old woman can't fathom what's going wrong. The kid hasn't even blinked. Truth be told, the kid doesn't understand what's going on either. He looks at his hands, then at the carnage surrounding him, wondering why he's the only one who feels perfectly fine. Nano already has the answer. It detected waves capable of causing brain damage and immediately engaged defense protocols. Essentially, it's blocking out reality to protect him. It's the ultimate noise-canceling feature. Yo-woon hears Nano's voice clearly in his head, while the old woman's ruckus is completely neutralized. The problem is that now every eye in the place is on him, since he's the only one not begging for mercy. From his vantage point, the redhead watches him with a gaze that could wither stone. He knows the Sound Clan's technique is no joke. At this level, it's a death trap. Without 20 years of cultivated energy, this should be a one-way ticket to the infirmary. But the protagonist just stands there, looking like he's waiting for a bus. The instructor is practically salivating, waiting for the moment the kid breaks and forgets his own name. Meanwhile, the rest of the candidates are catching hell. Blood is starting to trickle from several students' ears, and others are on the verge of passing out. The highborn heirs suffer in silence, praying their pride holds out just a little longer than their eardrums. Seeing that her private concert hasn't managed to topple the one person she's targeting, the elder begins to lose her patience. Freckles, who thinks he's the protagonist of this story, notices the fifth elder is playing like the music owes her money. The attack is becoming so heavy that even he is starting to struggle to keep his composure. Confused, he glances back to see who else is still standing and sees something he can't wrap his head around. It's not just him. Everyone who can still move their neck is staring at the main character like they've seen a ghost. He's just standing there, radiating a calm that's borderline insulting. To Freckles, this has to be some kind of scam. He's convinced the kid is pulling a fast one, hiding the fact that he can use internal energy. Because there's no way a normal person takes this kind of beating without breaking a sweat. What a wild concert. That lady was playing like the music owed her money. If the MC activated his noise-canceling defense protocol to stay chill, you guys need to activate the support protocol and absolutely smash that like button. Subscribe to see if Freckles ends up eating dirt, and let me know in the comments what other manhwa you want me to narrate next. Catch you later.